looks like we're just waiting for 4:30 to start here. Looks like you got a quorum and you got everyone in and all their microphones are set. So it's just waiting for the official time to start.
Are we waiting on anybody else from the commission, or is this it?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Debbie, you can always hit *6 to unmute yourself if you want to let us know if there's anyone else from the board joining.
I can't see on my screen who is on. I saw Bob Powell, and of course I saw Mike Gare, but I can't see who else is on.
We have Chris and Doug right now on as well.
Okay, yeah, I'm expecting everybody but Matt Chilton, so I should have a quorum.
Thank you.
Is Steve on?
I am.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, we got 4:30. If you wanted to get started, I'll get anyone in as they come in.
Okay. Get the screens up here. All right. My name is Michael Guerin, Chairman. I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Historic District Commission to order this 11th day of March 2021. There is a quorum present. The roster of the staff to the commission, of the commission members, and the technical posts that they fill in accordance with the requirements of the Hagerstown zoning ordinance are on file with the city of Hagerstown, are available on request of any applicant, and are hereby made a part of the legal record of each and every application heard today. All decisions rendered are based on the Secretary of Interior standards and guidelines as adopted by the city of Hagerstown. Each decision is made on a case-by-case basis and is not intended to be precedent setting. If you have any electronic devices other than what we're using, please make sure that they've been silenced. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and displayed through YouTube. I would ask that anybody, because we do have a number of design reviews, when you're ready to speak, please make sure that you have turned your mic on. Otherwise, I'd ask everybody to mute themselves until the appropriate time that you're asked to participate. At this time, there is only one type of case for today. We have design reviews. When your case is called, please state your name and address for the record. There will be a brief synopsis of your application from our staff consultant. The floor will then be turned over to the applicant for any further elaboration. After that, the floor will then be open for discussion by the commission members prior to rendering a decision on that particular application. At this time, we have meeting minutes for January 28th and February 11th. Is there any corrections, revisions, modifications to those minutes at this time? If there are none, we'll entertain a motion to adopt.
I move to adopt.
Second.
All right. Any
Who's second?
further? Second was, I
Who's
believe,
second,
Chris.
please?
Chris.
Thank you.
I just said something.
All right.
Was that Doug or Chris?
It was Doug. I'm sorry, Debbie.
That's okay, thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes for January 28th and February 11th, please signify by saying aye.
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 I heard two. Any abstentions?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Hearing no nays, no abstentions, motion carries. All right. First case up should be, hang on, I got to keep flipping back between screens here, folks. Sorry. Close my agenda. There it is. HDC case 2021-11 for 102 South Prospect Street for a garage. Miss Diane Delat. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly.
I'm present.
If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Diane Delayett, 102 South Prospect.
All right, thank you.
Okay. This is, let me get my report out here. All right, this is case 2020-11. The applicant is Diane Delayett. The property is located at 102 South Prospect Street. This is in the Prospect Street Historic District. Resources in the Prospect Street Local Historic District are not rated, but this building is the house is a contributing resource to the district. Photographs of the property are shown on page 1 of your staff report. The left-hand photograph shows the rear yard area. The property is a corner lot. It shows the rear yard area with the existing wall that's 5 or 6 feet tall along the sidewalk. And then the smaller picture is the front of the house as it appears from South Prospect Street. The design guidelines, page 50, residential. The applicant is proposing to build a 26 by 32 foot single story garage at the back of the property along West Antietam Street and Holborn Alley. And just for the record, there is an intervening property that is between this house and Holborn Alley. It's also owned by the Delates, but it is a separate property. That's that area between the brick wall and the alley. The rear facade of the garage would face West Antietam Street. The garage materials will match an existing storage shed already on the property and include 1, 2 Simonton vinyl windows, model 2840, 2, 1 Therma-Tru steel pedestrian door, 3, 1 16-foot and 1 9-foot Haas steel garage door, 4, Certainteed wood grain Dutch lap siding and cream, 5, Certainteed soffit and gutter in almond, 6, Mid-American vinyl shutters in forest green, and lastly, a 40-year architectural shingles in pewter gray. Recommendation, the garage will be very visible from West Antietam Street. Vinyl is not a recommended siding material when easily viewed from public ways, but has been used on surfaces not visible. Secretary of the Interior Standards 2, 9, and 10 apply. If you're looking at your design guidelines, page 50, but also page 27, talks about siding when considering new construction and additions to buildings. The commission will consider siding made of modern materials for new construction and or addition, depending upon the location of the construction on the building and the surroundings of that building. Environmental settings may also be considered. Window, door, corner, trim board sidings must not cover up cornice or eave details on historic resources. That doesn't apply. That last part of it didn't apply, I should say. But that's what we got. I'll turn it back over to the chairman.
Great. Does our applicant have any additional comments or further elaboration?
Yes, I do. I'd like to state that Chapter 5 of the guidelines refers to new construction. It specifically states that buildings must relate to both the design of the neighboring buildings and be able to stand on their own. The neighboring buildings are specifically 119 West Antietam, which is clad in aluminum siding, and 107 Holborn Avenue, which is clad in vinyl. Holborn Avenue property is 50 feet away. Actually, it's less. It's about 35 feet away. And West Antietam property is approximately 50 feet away. Those are the nearest neighboring properties. They're both in siding. This proposed garage location is approximately 200 feet from the historic property. We believe that the aluminum is appropriate in this location, visible or not. I mean, the guidelines allow for that. They further state that new construction should blend with the existing structures and streetscape. So a siding solution would make sense there. There is siding all around the properties on South Prospect Street. 178 has an aluminum siding attachment attached to the back of the house. 203, right across the street, these are both corner lots, also has a rear siding addition and a garage that features one vinyl door and one wood. 181 South Prospect features a rear addition to the home that's wrapped in siding. I do hope that you will consider this. I know that I understand that this commission prefers other materials, but with the 6-foot wall and the setback distance away from the wall, you're going to see maybe 4 feet of it before you start seeing shingle. So it's wall protected by the wall. And, quite frankly, we're not rich. We have a budget. We've been working on this property for 10 years to contribute to the betterment of this community. And, if our cost goes up on this, it's going to come away from our improvement on the historic property. We're working on, replacing rotting eaves right now so that the property doesn't deteriorate. An additional budget for the garage will take away from the budget from the house. We're not rich. So I'd like to hear what you have to say, and I would appreciate the opportunity to respond. Thank you.
Great, commission members, comments. I guess one question that I have, the garage is directly accessed off of Antietam Street, or is it accessed from the other side of the property? I couldn't tell where.
I can access it from Holborn Ave and go up through the wall, the opening in the wall, or I can access the back property along the wall from Antietam, but then I would have to turn in behind the wall to get to it. So it's from the rear of the property, from the alley side is access.
Okay, so the garage doors face which direction? They will face towards Holborn Alley, or are they going to face towards Antietam?
They will face away from Antietam Street.
Okay.
The only thing that will be visible from Antietam Street is the 6-foot brick wall, possibly 4 feet of vinyl, and then the roof tiles. The roof begins at the 10-foot level. So you've only got 4 feet between the top of the wall and the roof line.
All right, thank you. All right, commission members, comments, concerns?
And I read through the package thoroughly, and ma'am, Mr. Dooley, I definitely appreciate what you're doing. And frankly, was a little dismayed at the amount of fiberglass siding that you were able to cite. Mr. Chairman, the only thing I would say is in my brief time on this commission, we've been pretty consistent in having applicants not use vinyl siding. So I'm struggling there with the realities of siding already in the area and the fact that we've been consistent with trying to maintain historic materials. I welcome other people's comments.
The property, I mean, obviously the brick does help hide some of that. I know, I would assume right now the wall facing Antietam is obviously very visible. I'm not sure coming down West Antietam, I guess that would be heading towards the east, how much would be seen from that particular elevation. The side that faces the other part of the property, I don't know that that would be in question, whether the side to the garage doors. Typically, we haven't had an issue off of an alleyway, whether you consider that a public right-of-way or not. I think we've had a little more discretion with that particular side. Now, if you're coming up West Antietam, heading, I guess, west at that point, that may be a little bit more visible, but being on a lower elevation, the height of the brick wall probably shield a good portion of that particular elevation. So, I mean, while it may be advantageous to, change materials, maybe it's only on one or two of the sides as opposed to the entire structure. But I need some feedback from our commission members on.
May I, Leslie?
Certainly.
I have just to clarify, because I think I missed it, is the entry to the garage on Holborn that's elected or on Antietam that's elected? I just wasn't clear. I didn't hear the answer.
The actual garage doors are going to be on the actual property side. So if you're standing on West Antietam looking at the garage, you would see the back of the garage. The doors would be on the other side of the building, facing away from you.
And so the access, just so I'm clear on the property, the access to it would then be off of Holborn.
Yes,
Correct.
that's what.
Okay. And my other question is, was this, and this is just a side note, so I make sure I'm not misunderstanding something. Has this property been on has we reviewed this property for another issue recently? It sounds familiar, and I don't have my record.
It was a swimming pool.
That's what I thought. So the pool would be located between the garage and the house, then, is that?
No.
I'm on the
The pool is located on the upper yard. The house is,
Okay.
the elevation from the house is to the garage level is greater than 20 feet. The garage is sitting
Right.
200 feet away and more than 20 feet lower than the house.
Okay, I just don't have my records with me, and I recall the case, and I just want to make sure I'm on the correct property. Okay, that's it for right now.
Okay, so if I'm understanding the drawings correctly, the gabled roof, the long direction of the roof would actually face towards Antietam Street.
That
if
is
you're looking-
correct.
So the rear elevation is what actually faces Antietam. The left end would actually face towards the house.
Yes.
What they're
Okay.
calling the front elevation faces the adjacent property.
Okay,
And then the right side elevation would actually be the alleyway, facing the alleyway.
okay.
And any other comments?
I would like to also, I'm not sure how to approach the siding issue, and would look for more input on that.
Input from who?
Well, I have to find myself in agreement with Mr. Carroll on this one, because of its visibility and the complexity of the area. I just want to talk about that a little bit. It's on the parcel with the historic property, and Ms. DeLay is talking about interpreting the code to be representative of other properties in the area, and I don't know where the distinction should lie when you're within a parcel.
If I may clarify, the guidelines state that new construction should blend with existing structures and streetscape. At that location, which is 200 feet away from the historic home and an elevation considerably lower, it would make sense that it should blend with the structures around it. The Holborn Ave house, which is 8 feet behind my vinyl shed, that exactly the same design as the garage, is clad in vinyl. I mean, it would make sense that it's a similar size and structure of the Holborn property and the Antietam property that are its closest neighbors within a couple of feet, as opposed to trying to make it match the one that's 200 feet away. You know, you've got the ugly Verizon building across the street too. I mean, you know, it makes sense that it would blend with the nearest neighbors.
And some of the neighbors, you know, may have been there before the guidelines were actually adopted, obviously.
So it's okay for them, but not for me.
Well, if it was approved before the guidelines were adopted, we had no control over that particular case at that time. And I don't know when any of those properties became cited with an alternate material at that point. It is new, obviously new construction, and you know, as a designation, that would clearly indicate that it was not original to the property. We do have some screening, although the screening's not completely hiding the garage at this particular point. The siding, you know, there may be, again, it could be alternate materials, at least on a different material on the one side of the building. That is the most visible, you know, which would be, I guess, the facade on Antietam Street. Certainly a possibility. Please keep in mind the commission, unfortunately, doesn't really get into cost considerations. That's outside of our purview, as long as the, I don't want to say how to phrase that, but that generally doesn't enter into our discussion, as we try to keep that limited.
But you do directly impact the budgets of the people in this district that are putting their hearts and souls into making this community habitable. This is why people don't want to live there.
Right, we understand that, but you know, the historic district, you know, that's part of the charm, I guess, of having the historic district, where some of that is limited in what materials can or can't be used.
But they can be used.
There could be an alternative material such as the hardy plank siding, which, you know, replicates a vinyl, well, not a vinyl siding, but basically a wood siding. You could use, you know, a wood siding on the most visible portions of the building. I don't have as much concern on the elevation that has the garage doors, which faces to the interior of the property. I guess the other possibility would be, you know, screening with landscaping at that corner. I don't know if that's a viable solution. That would limit visibility, but I don't know that our guidelines necessarily give us any direction in something like that. Would that give us any impact, Steve, or not?
It's about a 30-foot long wall. It would be something that would need to grow up fairly tall to screen anything. Plus, you're got a limited space between the wall and the garage. I believe the distance between the wall and the garage is only like about 6 feet or so.
No, it's about 10 feet.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Trying to look at the height. I guess we got what, a 10-foot ceiling in the garage. 6.
We're talking about 4 feet. And it's a wood grain textured that's going to last. It's not going to rot.
Carol, have you investigated other more historic materials?
Yes, we have. Yeah, it's going to be impossible to match the brick if we do brick facing. Hardy board is expensive and it's an inferior product. Hardy board will rot in this region. If we were in Arizona, I'd be happy to invest in it. But we have too much snow and ice and rain and humidity here.
Well, hardy board is actually a cementitious material. I don't see where it would actually rot.
Look it up. Look it up. You look it up and see what that cellulose is made of. It is made out of wood pulp. What happens is, if it gets wet, it swells, it cracks, it puckers.
Well, Chairman, the thing I'm still struggling with is, based on the recommendation provided, that the garage will be very visible. It's not consistent with the materials that we historically approve. And if we approved it, I don't see that we would have any standing or credibility going forward in like cases. So I'm comfortable with it. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
You're comfortable with what?
I'm not comfortable with the
Okay.
siding and vital materials because
So,
we've been pretty consistent in requiring historic materials, especially on. And I don't know how we can enforce that in future cases.
okay. Well, we've got homes on Walnut Street, right next to the historic church, that are clad in siding. 122 South Prospect features a vinyl railing on the front porch. 181 has a rear addition wrapped in siding. 203, a rear addition and a garage. 178 has an attached addition that includes siding, all of them.
So, ma'am, I mentioned earlier, I was dismayed by that. I wish.
Okay, and then my shed was approved. We submitted that on the same drawing that featured the location of the garage, and I stated then that we planned for a matching garage in the future. So this is my frustration. If it wouldn't be appropriate to match it in the future, why wouldn't you have me do something different with the shed? That's my problem. So now we're going to be stuck with two mismatched buildings. That's just going to be fabulous. Won't that look good for the community? The guidelines clearly state that new construction should complement but be representative as its time.
I think your design is attractive. I think what you're trying to do is fine. I'm
We think so too.
struggling with the materials.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, is on your property in the rear, so I'm clear, is the white building with the metal roof also on your parcel?
That is not. Now the property on the Antietam side of that is our property. He has the house and the sidewalk, the 3-foot sidewalk on the side. The rest of that property belongs to us.
All right, no, the white building that's behind the yellow shed, that
Yes.
white building with the metal roof is another parcel, because it looks like your shed is in line with that. I just want to be clear on the location.
That one is the Holborn Avenue property that I cited earlier. It is not our property. They own just the house. All the green that you see between that house and West Antietam belongs to us. So they have the house and a parking spot on the other side of the house.
If I could add a little bit more background to that, that house that's on Holborn Alley, the parcel that it sits on is barely more than the house.
Okay.
Mr. Lee owns everything inside the brick wall, obviously. Also the area between the brick wall and Holborn Alley, except for that house. And then on the other side of the house, Mr. Lee has a pipe stem that connects the main part of the backyard to the alley. So they do have two separate accesses essentially onto the alley. They have the second lot that they own located between Antietam Street and that house. And then on the other side of the house, there's a pipe stem that connects to the rest of the lot.
No, we don't have, no, we don't have access on the other side of the house.
Well, okay, you're right. Actually, I'm seeing it. Okay, it's truncated off, isn't it?
Yeah, once upon a time there was.
Okay.
And we changed our access to the other side, and that was an easement, and we deeded it back to the property owner behind us because they didn't have any land.
Okay. May I?
Sure.
So I just want to clarify, since no one has mentioned it to our applicant, when you previously applied to this board, at least for the little shed, just so you know that we although you may have had intentions of adding around that, we can only look at the particular application in front of us. We don't relay back to other parts of it. We only rule and look at what the applicant is presenting. So I'm sorry if you felt some confusion there, but that's the policy. Okay. I don't want any misunderstandings because of that.
No, it was expressly stated. If you go to the minutes, you'll see that. You should see that.
I understand, but that's not what happens here. You might have made a point, but we would only be ruling on the application itself for the particular thing that was being built or requested. And obviously that one was approved at some point in time in the past. But so there's no misunderstanding. That's how this board operates.
Yeah,
and
I see.
Because board members and board members change. Yeah, our board members change periodically, so we have to operate within the scope that we're given by the rules that we're required to follow. But we're just having trouble with the adjacent properties look, and we're trying to figure out with you a way forward that we can satisfy all of these points. And we're accountable to that. We just can't arbitrarily say, yeah, it's okay. We have to have reasons. And
okay, so
we're trying to figure that out. Yeah, we're trying to figure that out with you.
Okay, so please explain to me how exactly a wood grain textured product is not appropriate. And you're asking me to replace it with another wood grain textured product that's inferior.
Well, you've got mixed, you've had mixed materials all over the place here. I mean, you're referring to the house on Holborn with the siding, which is there now, but the house behind this proposed garage, you know, has a metal roof, which is a period roof. And maybe there is a combination of materials that can incorporate this gradual transition here. And we're trying to discover that with you, with your concerns and our guideline concerns. We're not fighting, we're just trying to find a solution.
Okay, so let's talk about the existing structures and streetscape. Let's talk about the elevation. Let's talk about the distance away from the historic home. I mean,
It still it's still part of the district. The distance at that point really doesn't, you know, make any real difference. It's still all part of the historic district in general, not whether it's 100 feet or 500 feet or 1,000 feet or whatever. And I think, you know, the overall shape and the design of your garage does match up with the shed. It's just that the shed, you know, sets back. It's much lower. It's not going to be as tall as the garage is at this point. And yes, the siding that may be on that is replicated and potentially with other materials. So a wood siding on the garage, you know, is still in tune and in the same design intent as the shed at this point. The issue is just the material and the fact that it is vinyl. If you can replicate that in metal, or you could replicate that in the hardy plank, or you can replicate that in a wood siding, that's certainly a possibility.
okay, you know what? We're going to do that. You like hardy plank so much, we'll give you hardy plank. That's going to take away from repairs. It's going to delay repairs on the deteriorating exterior. I hope you enjoy that. Meanwhile, when we leave, you'll have a lovely slumlord and you can watch it rot, because that's what's going to happen.
Well, my experience has been hardy plank has been used pretty extensively in this area, and I've not been made aware that it rots out at this point. As a cementitious material, it tends to hold up. It tends to hold paint a whole lot better than a wood siding would do. Obviously, proper installation is important, as in any material. Even vinyl siding can be put up incorrectly and it'll look like crap in a very, very short period of time, irregardless of, you know, wood grain or not. If they nail it too tight, it's going to wrinkle, it's going to crack up, it's going to bust in a very short period of time. Any material obviously has to be installed in the proper fashion, and the materials should last. I believe Hardy Plank does offer a fairly lengthy warranty on their products. But you know, that's one thing. I'm not saying you have to use Hardy Plank. I'm not sure if there's a metal siding that might, you know, work in a horizontal application.
So metal siding's okay and vinyl's not.
Yeah.
Right. Vinyl
does that need to look like wood also? I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, and it's been my job to verify compliance with exactly this. Hardy Plank, back to Hardy Plank. I participate in inspections on a regular basis, and they all bear the same results. It's a matter of time. Do you want to paint your garage every 5 years?
Well, I do a lot of I do a lot of painting around here, so for my own properties.
Okay.
I know it's difficult. I mean, porch decks are, you know, very problematic in this area.
Okay.
So, Mr. Lade, are you going to amend your application to include Hardy Plank then?
I will have a discussion with my husband, because you like to do this during business hours, and I will get back to you if that's okay.
All right. What we would like to do, if we table your motion or your application, that gives us, you know, a chance to revisit this at the next meeting. at this point, with your
Oh, no,
permission.
no, no. We need to move forward at some point. You know what? Can I say yes now and amend it later if I need to?
You could,
I don't want to, I just don't want to do another
Huh.
meeting. I don't have to.
okay, what you could do is you could amend your application to include hardy plank now, and that can be approved, and you can move forward. If you find that you need to do something different later, you would need to come back.
Okay.
But if you want to move forward with the hardy plank, when the likelihood that that's where the
I
way
want to
to
move
go,
forward
that'll
with
keep
construction.
you doing another meeting.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do that. And I hope you all enjoy watching it rot. I know.
So,
You can laugh. I'm laughing too.
at this point, it's been noted that the applicant wishes to amend her application to include the hardy plank siding material. All right, so at this time, I believe that should alleviate the concerns of the commission.
Oh.
Is there any other concerns that we have at this point with this application?
I'll make a comment, and I've been sitting here listening to this whole thing. People have allowed all kinds of additions, modifications, and things to properties to be done without consulting us. We've talked about it before. We're talking about it again. I'm sitting here in a house built in 1909 that has a vinyl addition on the back of it that you can't see from Oak Hill Avenue. And if we're going to sit here and go over this for 4 feet of visible siding, I'm sorry, I do have a problem with that.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Mr. Chairman, maybe one thing you might want to do is take a straw poll just to see what the general viewpoint of the body is on vinyl. Because it sounds like you have a mixed crowd today. Who knows, maybe it would pass a vote. I don't know. I wouldn't take an official vote, but you might straw poll just to see what kind of collective feedback you have on vinyl.
I can tell you at last, go look at the shed. I've invited you to come out. It's been sitting there for almost 10 years and it looks as good as it did when we put it up.
At this point, we could do a straw vote or just a straw poll at this point. One thing, maybe we need, some more time to consider, and that's part of the reason, of asking for maybe to table the motion for this particular meeting to move on and revisit and give some more consideration to the applicant at this point. So I don't, and that gives you some chance to research, something else. You may find a different material that you would propose or be happy with. Commission members, Mr. Carroll, I believe you've expressed your opinion. Prefer another material other than the vinyl.
Yeah, I just don't know how we can accept this particular application when we have not accepted previous applications with the similar materials. I don't know how we can
Have they
make
been,
any credibility or any standards if we're going to be very selective in what we do.
All right, and a lot of it does come down to the visibility from the public way.
But I'm going by, and I did look through it very carefully. I'm going by, and I'm also looking at the recommendation that it's very visible from West End and Tatum Street, a major through here. So again,
it does nothing to diminish.
And understand your situation, believe it or not. I just don't know as a commissioner how we can justify being selective enforcement.
Okay, if you can't justify that, can you please explain to me how exactly that would negatively impact the historic properties that are greater than 200 feet away. How exactly? Please explain. We're talking 200
Well-
feet and 20 feet lower elevation. I mean, the historic properties are way up on that hill.
So, ma'am, when we have another applicant next to you that comes in with something that's inconsistent with regulations, are you going to be fine with us disregarding the regulations? That would be my question to you.
If it's consistent with the neighboring properties that actually neighbor it, not the ones that are 200 feet away.
How do we, going by guidelines, adjudicate something like that?
Pardon me?
You're saying that you would be amenable to it potentially. So how, as a commissioner, that has to go by guidelines and recommendations from professionals, adjudicate something like that?
Well, what I'm saying is that you have yet to tell me exactly how it would negatively impact. We're talking vinyl, yes, but it's a heavy wood grain finish.
We had this exact situation, I would say maybe a month and a half ago, and the applicant was not very happy.
How many feet away from the historic property was it? Was it 200 feet away? Did it hit vinyl property?
It was connected to the historic property.
Well, I would not connect it to my historic property. I'm putting it 200 feet away.
Understood. His property, though, he didn't have that opportunity to move 200 feet away.
Well,
You're saying that this,
there's other properties that have vinyl attached. We're doing the right thing here.
Ms. Allen, if I understood your comments, you're not in favor of the use of the vinyl, correct?
That is correct. And I just want to add that we follow guidelines that have been approved and we are more relaxed about the guidelines, even though if you were in other communities that follow these adopted guidelines, we are trying to help applicants get through this process. Many communities are not so forgiving, and we're always searching for a way to assist. But you are building on a historic parcel as well. It's all part of the same parcel, and there are adjacent properties. There's a place across the street next to the Verizon, almost in line with your house, that has had to comply in its build out.
Oh, you're talking about 170, the city's property?
No, I'm not. I don't know the address. It's
I know
on
the address. I
Antietam.
look at it every day. That's the one with 8
I'm-
HVAC units that are sitting all along the side of the house in plain view. No,
Ma'am, I'm not going to get into a debate about this. I'm trying to help you. I'm not going to get into a debate and an argument at this meeting. I'm going to recommend that we table this if the applicant is agreeable.
and we're talking 1 week. Pardon me?
Next meeting would be 2 weeks from today. Would be the
Yeah, this construction has been delayed long enough. I'm not going to push my contractor out another 2 weeks because you like hurdy-board.
All right. Well, keep in mind, if we deny the application, it sits for a year before you can bring it back in its current state.
We're going to go ahead and build it with your hurdy-board that you love so much. And we'll send you pictures as it deteriorates. And when we leave, you'll have a lovely slumlord. Just like the rest of the properties. We've got a handful of people that are working their hearts and souls into making this neighborhood nice. And the slumlords do nothing. You'll have more of that when we leave.
Chris,
So,
Mr. George, what's
I'll
your
amend it for
opinion?
hurdy-board. I'll amend it for hurdy-board. We'll be happy to leave.
I would defer to the opinions of other people. I'm not really sure if vinyl is really a good look for historic district, but I know there's other things besides hardy board. I was looking at something that's called like engineered wood.
Yep.
I don't know a whole much about it, but it might be good.
Yeah, that's what hurdy-board is.
Isn't hardy board cement though?
It's wood pulp. and cement. It's engineered wood. That's what it is. The cellulose that's within the hardy board is
Go
made
ahead,
of wood
Lee.
pulp. It's mixed with cement.
All right.
All right then.
At this point then, I mean, with the applicant's wishes to be able to move forward, amending her application to include the hardy plank.
No, I don't wish to. I'm agreeing to.
So be it. Commission members or somebody willing to make a motion to complete this application? Anybody? You have anybody willing to make a motion, please?
I'll make the motion. Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed the materials and amended materials submitted in case number HDC 2021-11 and its associated staff report and the recommendations, and I have viewed the property in question. I know exactly where it is, by the way. The staff report recommends approval of this application is consistent with the applicable standards adopted by this commission. And no one has appeared at this meeting with concerns about or issues with or objections to this application. Therefore, I move that this commission adopt the staff evaluation and recommendations in this case as amended, as its own, and grant a certificate of appropriateness to the applicant for case number HDC 2021-11.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Staff would just mention for the record that staff did not have a recommendation one way or the other on the original application. However, with the amended application, staff does recommend approval.
Thank you. All right, commission
I would like
members.
to say that, yes, now to make sure the amendment is specifically called out, please, Mr. Powell.
I'm sorry?
Could you amend your motion to be specific as to what the amendment is?
Well, my amendment should read an appropriate siding material to the building. There may be other options available to this person other than the hardy board you all have been talking about.
Staff would object to the wording of that motion. It's completely nebulous and at the discretion of the applicant at that point.
I think we need to make sure, you know, the specific product as referenced was the hardy plank style siding. You agree with that, Mr. Powell?
Sure. Sure,
Great.
anything.
All right, Mr. George, you agreeable with the the clarification?
Yes.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amended motion with the name of the hardy plank type siding, signify by saying aye.
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 2, 3. Okay. I think we had everybody there. Any nays? Hearing none. Anybody abstaining? Hearing none. Motion carries. We appreciate your time. We'll get your signed application back to you tomorrow. Next case.
Do we have anybody from engineering here? I can handle it if we don't, but do we have anybody from engineering? Okay.
So HDC case 2021-12 for 45 West Washington Street, cultural trail signage through the city of Hagerstown.
Yes, this is HTC case 2021-12. The applicant is the city of Hagerstown Parks and Engineering Department. Property is located at 45 West Washington Street. This is in the downtown local historic district. This used to be an A resource, but now it's a G resource because it's a non-contributing open space. Photograph of the area is shown on page 1 of your staff report. Guidelines is pages 37 to 39 in the downtown district guidelines. Description of work and plans. The city of Hagerstown is proposing to hang 2 projecting signs on the new street wall that will be built this spring. The sign on the east side of the facade will be a 3-dimensional sign in the shape of a top hat. Historically, there is early photographic evidence of a similar sign in this location that was part of the Uptograph Hat Factory operations in the 1860s. The sign will be fabricated out of 0.09-inch thick aluminum, painted gray with a black band around the crown and a satin finish. The brim of the hat will be fabricated with 2 layers of aluminum. Graphics reading Hatter's Plaza with a pointing hand will be made of high-performance vinyl on both sides of the sign. The sign on the west will be a 32-inch high, 30-inch wide, 1/4-inch thick sign panel with graphics on both sides. The frame and the panel will be painted gray with a satin finish to match the 3-dimensional top hat sign on the east side of the facade. A 16 by 16-inch aluminum panel containing the cultural trail logo will be affixed to both sides of the sign panel. Graphics will be made of high-performance vinyl for the directional information portion of the sign. Both signs will be attached to the building via a fabricated aluminum scroll bracket with a 40-inch arm. The brackets will be secured by anchor shackles through holes in the top edge of the sign. 8 feet of clearance must be maintained between the bottom of the signs and the sidewalk. Staff recommendation is approval. See attached photo of the former building circa 1862. Note the 3-dimensional top hat shaped sign. Secretary of Interior Standards 9 and 10 apply. We attached to the report the historic photograph taken circa 1862 showing the front of the building that was recently demolished. The building was originally built as a 2-story building, and then sometime just before the Civil War, the roof was taken off, the 2nd floor ceiling height was added or raised, and then a 3rd floor was added. And of course, that's all gone now. And you all approved a street wall for the open space that's going to be there that reflects what the building would look like prior to that circa 1858 or so addition, 2 stories tall. And then you see the top hat shape sign. And this is actually very common. I Googled antique hat store signs, and there's no shortage of antique metal top hat signs that are in antique collections and museums and antique stores for sale. So this was actually a fairly common practice at the time. This all gets back to reflecting the history of the site. The one thing I do have is the sign for Hatter's Plaza, or for the hat.
No, I can't figure it out. Oh,
On the hat, I want to work with engineering to come up with a more 1860s font for that. I hope you would be okay with allowing me the discretion to work with that, because this is pretty much a standard contemporary kind of to look old font. I'd like to see if I can work with them to come up with something a little bit better, but essentially that's what it's going to look like. And then on the cultural trail sign, if you notice across the bottom of it, there's some logos. Those are being put on there because the funding that was provided for the park. Just as an FYI, I'm going to talk to the funding source to see if we can find some other way of having them recognized, because you're talking about a sign that's 8 feet off the ground and these logos are maybe 3 inches wide at the most. To me, they just look like they cluttered the sign, the ones in the bottom left and bottom right corners. But essentially the application is in front of you as it is, but I assume that you would have no heartburn if down the road we decided not to put those 2 logos on and deal with it somehow else. And that's all I have. And I'm here to answer your questions.
All right, commission members, comments, concerns?
This is Doug. I love it. I love the attention to detail. I love the revitalization of history. I think this is exactly consistent with what the downtown should be doing. I think it's great. So I'm very supportive of this.
I think we should move ahead with the motion.
All right.
Okay. I can go ahead, Mr. Chairman. I have reviewed the material submitted in case number 2021, TAC 12, and its associated staff report and recommendations, and I have viewed the property in question. The staff report recommends approval of this application as consistent with the applicable standards adopted by this commission, and no one is about issues with or objections to this application. Therefore, I move that this commission adopt the staff evaluation and recommendations in this case as its own and grant a certificate of appropriateness to the applicant for case 2021.
Second.
All right. Bob, did you second?
Second.
Okay. Thought I heard that. I wasn't sure. All right. Any further discussion on the application? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Hearing none, motion carries.
Hey, are you all okay with me having a little bit of latitude to work on the font of the wording Hatters Plaza?
I'm fine with it.
Yes.
Okay. It'll look like it fell right out of the 1850s, 1860s.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Next.
I'm gonna need to leave the meeting now, so I will be going offline.
All right. Next case is HDC case 2021-13 for 16 to 18 West Franklin Street, Pythian Castle, and that is for some exterior work.
Okay, this is HDC 2021-13. This is Hagerstown Pythian Castle LLC is the owner at 16 to 18 West Franklin Street in the Downtown Historic District. The building is an A resource. It's a significant building to the character of the district and may qualify for National Register listing individually. Photographs of the building are shown on page 1 of your staff report. Design guidelines are pages 25 to 27 of the downtown guidelines. Description of work and plans. The applicant is proposing to replace windows on the upper floors of the east and west facades. Those are the two sides. Work includes repairing, painting the existing windows and replacing missing windows. The new windows replicate historic windows. The new windows will be made with mahogany and Spanish cedar sills that where required. Laminated glass will be used to improve insulation and safety. A prototype window was required by the Maryland Historical Trust, and a photograph of the installed mock-up is included in the packet. The applicant has applied to the MHT for tax credit funding. Staff recommends approval, and again, MHT is fine with it.
All right. Does our applicant have any further comments?
His contractor was supposed to be part of the meeting.
Yes.
Is he here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. Bill Cutshall. It's CUTSHAW. The address for the firm is JWI Architectural Millwork in 209 Oregon Street, Mercersburg, Pennsylvania.
Great, thank you. Wonderful. All right. You have any comments to add at this point in time, sir?
No, I do not.
All right, commission members. Any concerns, any comments? Trying to scroll through my information here to see the picture of the photo of the window. So it looks pretty well replicated there. All right, not hearing any other comments. I guess I assume that means everybody's in approval with the work that's proposed.
Yes.
If everybody's in agreement, then we'll entertain a motion to adopt. Anyone?
I've already done one.
You may need to do another today.
Here it comes. Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed the materials submitted in case number 2021-13 and its associated staff report and recommendations. And I have viewed the property in question. Truthfully, I've been there several times. The staff report recommends approval of this application as consistent with the applicable standards adopted by this commission, and no one has appeared at this meeting with concerns about, issues with, or objections to this application. Therefore, I move that this commission adopt the staff evaluation and recommendations in this case as its own and grant a certificate of appropriateness to the applicant for case number HDC 2021-13.
Is there a second? Somebody, please.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Mr. George, I think you also indicated. All right, any abstentions or any nays? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Appreciate your time.
Hey, Mike, in the future, when we do remote meetings like this, when it comes to vote time, you might want to just do roll calls.
Okay. Yeah, we gotta figure out a better way. All right, at this time, we are through our design reviews. Any workshops? Right now, I'm not aware of any. Any new business that needs to be brought before the commission?
Not that I can think of.
All right, any old business that needs to be brought before the commission? Hearing none.
Hey, Bob, that fence, I wanted to give them through the winter. So the one over there on Fairgrounds Avenue. So I'm going to be out there checking on the status of it within the next week or two.
Okay, believe me, I was by there today. It's still not capped.
Okay. Yeah, we tried to be cooperative. I didn't want to rush out there too quickly because it might sound like we're beating up on them. You know, as soon as they got something done, we were all over them. So I wanted to give them through the winter. The winter's over, so now I'm going to lean on them.
Okay, that's fine with me. Sure.
All right, any other old business?
Yeah, while you're out there, Steve, maybe you could check that little dryer vent over there at North Potomac. That's still on the agenda.
Yeah, we'll do. The one that's next to Bloom Park?
Yeah, where the cannon is, yeah.
Yeah.
Leslie never forgets.
All right, any other old business? Hearing none, any announcements? Hearing none.
Steve, this is Debbie.
Yeah.
Did you want to, Kathy mentioned at the Planning Commission meeting last night about possibly going to hybrid type meetings at the end of the month because Mayor and Council starting to meet in person. Do you want to?
Well, basically, Debbie just summarized it. We're looking to start bringing you all back in, but giving you the option to stay home. It'll be after. Debbie, is the Planning Commission doing regular or hybrid at the next meeting? I mean, or remote?
They're doing a hybrid. They're doing a
because-
hybrid.
Because of the public hearing. That's right. So you all are going to need to start thinking about making your way back into City Hall. If you want to do the next meeting remote, I don't see any particular issue with that, but beginning in April, the city management is looking to try to get us back to as close to normal operations as possible.
Okay. All right. Any comments from commission members? Sounds good to me.
If
All
you're
right.
still not comfortable, we can do hybrid, where some people come in and some people stay home.
Okay. All right. Any further announcements? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, everyone. Appreciate your attendance, participation, and we'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.